Let's jump into the next video. This is from a channel I've never seen before called Ginger Prime. And it is titled Star Citizen, Am I Too Starry-Eyed? The comment section. Uh-oh. So I think that they've been like, I think this is just one of those channels that just found Star Citizen and is like, yo, this is incredible. And they don't actually know, the history or whatever. And then everybody is telling them what it's about, I think. Are they a WoW guy? I have no idea. I don't know anything about this. So let's just dive in and see what it's all about. It's a fairly long video. So let me link it to you first, and then we'll link it to you at the end as well. Okay?
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the comments section. My name is Brian if you happen to be new to the channel, and if you want to know what kind of video this is, the comment section is where I do a deep dive into what you guys have to say. And this video is going to be focusing on what's going right with Star Citizen. This has been something that I've been stepping into, and I just recently posted my first impressions, and you guys had a lot of ideas and thoughts, both positive, negative,
what's going right?
to say
the funding model
about it. And so that's what this video is. If you guys like kind of content like this, you can kind of treat this almost as a semi-podcast. I'm going to highlight some comments. We're going to talk about it, and I think this is what I enjoy most about being a content creator is the discussion that we get to have together. So if you guys want your comments featured in comment section videos, be sure to just keep sounding off. That's pretty much the only requirement. So
this is actually a pretty good idea. Should I do a because I always take the comment section and post it on Discord. I feel like that would be like a really good video for the React channel. Actually, is just taking a bunch of the comments from the comment section. Putting them into like a photo album or something, and then just comment on all the comments.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Hit that like button if you feel like these videos earn it, and subscribe if you haven't already. But outside of that call to action, let's dive in. First up is, and I'm going to, sorry to butcher names, I'm dyslexic. It is unfortunately a curse that some of you have to suffer through, and some of you find absolutely hilarious. I hope that you listening right now are in the hilarious camp. But anyway, Atkins Kid says, I don't get why people compare these two games when neither tries to be like the other. They are nothing alike, nor targeting the same audience. Well, I guess they take place in space, and Grizz Moreno kind of...
it's the Starfield conversation. Oh my god, we can't get away from it.
I know, same kind of vein, following this up, says, Star Citizen should not be compared to Starfield in any way. Vastly different gaming genres, space sim versus sandbox set.
They can absolutely be compared.
In space, and I kind of, cheekily responded, so when someone asks me how it compares, what exactly should I say to them? And Giz says, good question. To me, Starfield has no comparison in any ways aside from setting, and it's more akin to Fallout than Star Citizen.
If you want to, I hate this mentality, because if you want to say that you really like a feature set or something about another game because it's not like Star Citizen, which no game is like, because nobody's stupid enough to make Star Citizen other than Chris Roberts and us helping him, giving him money and stuff. Nobody is dumb enough to do that, so the game is obviously going to be unique, and then so you can't make any comparisons to other games. I think you can easily compare Star Citizen to DayZ, Starfield, No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, friggin' anything. Single player games, multiplayer games, World of Warcraft. You can take plenty of features and things about other games and go, you know what? I really like the way this game does this, and I really don't like the way Star Citizen does this. Yeah, basically, except for FIFA and Madden, you could pretty much compare anything to it. And that's the reason why, is because you could just go, hey, this feature in Star Citizen is not very fun. A similar feature in this game is, right? And here's why. And that's, so why can't you make those comparisons? Of course you can.
And that's apt, right? When I, in the video, I talk about, you have No Man's Sky, Star Citizen, and Starfield. No matter what, you gotta remember the majority of gamers aren't as engaged. Of course, they're not, even just being a content creator and consuming content on YouTube, as big as that is, it's still so very niche to the overall gaming community. So you might be like me, you know, someone who's actively invested. Like,
it's not finished, so you can't. Kidding, by the way. Thank God, because I was about to rip you apart. I was about to rip you a new one. Just type the word Kappa at the end of your sentence when you're kidding, okay?
I'm a really big gamer. I think the only thing that outranks gaming for me is gamer, God, guys, and my family. And then beyond that, then gaming. You know, like I really love that. I want to put my family and my faith forward and first. And then essentially it's about playing games and having this social interaction connection. One of the hardest.
Basically for me, the things that I put ahead of gaming is like fast food and my cat, I think.
Things about being an adult. If you are in or about to step into this camp for some reason, generally speaking, everybody's here is 18 plus, and most of y'all are male. That's what the stats show me. But when it comes down to it, like, it's really hard making friends as an adult. That's something I never was taught, or was actually kind of a shocking experience. And one of the things that content creation in the Discord.
She doesn't let me eat fast food though, so it's like frustrating, you know?
And hanging out with you guys on a live stream, in Discord, or just talking, that actually is a nice outlet, and I've really appreciated that. So I thank y'all for being here. But that being said, is that no matter what, like those are going to be questions that are going to keep coming up, and I don't fall in the camp that they shouldn't be compared, because there are things that some games do differently. Differently doesn't mean better. I think for like a
differently definitely means better in Star Citizen's case a lot of the time.
Sandbox MMO, Star Citizen so far is knocking it out of the park for the things that I look for in these kind of games. And I'm still an absolute freshman when it comes to this. I'm barely.
Yeah, because I think you'll realize that the things that Star Citizen knocks out of the park, which they absolutely knock some things out of the park, really don't feel like they should without the other things that you would take and compare from other games, right? Like progression and gameplay and stuff like that.
You know, making it out and back in, but I've been able to start to do that from time to time, and that's something very exciting for me to experience that growth. That
if he's putting gaming that high in his life, I think eventually he'll be playing Star Citizen for a few more months and realize, you know, hey, there's a lot here, but there's a lot missing. You know,
show like my skill level and my ability level is getting better, not some kind of just a bar on, you know, some kind of chart somewhere. But no, people are going to, no matter what, ask these questions, and that's actually me responding to those various questions. So the idea that we can't like make comparisons and contrast and talk about different systems from different games based off of the theme of those games, I just can't subscribe to. And so if that offends you, like, no worries. Like, the internet's a big place, and
Oh, it offends Star Citizen fans. Don't you dare talk about Starfield, okay?
I'm sure you can find somebody who's less offensive online, but, you know, best of luck with you on that case. But when it comes down to it, I will compare games that I've had like hands-on experience with, and when it comes down to it, I think that is probably what most of you really want in the long run, but you can let me know if we differ there. Moving on, Dr. John 7156 says, first, congrats on the weight loss, far more important than any YouTube gaming video, but I do have to say, oh boy, when you said that you were biased, you were not joking. 9 minutes of continuous bigging up this game and little to no discussion on the negatives of this game. And that's absolutely.
This is one of my viewers.
Fair critique, with the exception, and I'm going to push back and then we'll continue on their comment, is that I don't feel like I have the authority, and maybe you disagree and you can let me know, but I don't feel like I have the authority to focus in on.
Damn long ass comment, bro. Just go to any comment section on YouTube. Dr. John, there are 7,156 Dr. Johns. That's why his name is that. And they just write a novel that nobody's going to read. This is like one of the only guys that are going to read these comments. I don't know about you guys, but like if somebody types something this long, I know they took a lot of time and effort with it, but I'm not reading it.
Negatives yet. And what I mean by that It's
yeah,
not
yeah, I guess I would read long stuff if it was formatted well, but this is just like a blob, right?
Say that every gaming experience is perfect.
Yeah, like give me the cliff notes,
but
man.
I could state a negative, like, hey, I ran into a bug or something, but maybe it wasn't a bug, or maybe I was doing something incorrect, right? So it could fall into a couple different categories. Now, all of this is something that time can help with. Once I put 100 hours and 1,000 hours, I'm gonna have a much broader experience. But
100%. And that's what this like Dr. John doesn't get is Dr. John's watching a Star Citizen video because at one point Dr. John was excited about Star Citizen. And he was like, wow, this is really cool. And then the longer Dr. John hung out and watched Star Citizen videos and played the game, Dr. John realized that this game is not as cool as he thought it was and needs a lot of work. And man, the funding model is a little weird. And wow, they always say they're going to do something and then it never comes out. Like, what the hell? So this guy, Ginger, we're watching is brand new. That he hasn't experienced that yet.
Impressions video, and
Dr. John's trying to speed run him there.
I've been called toxically positive online when it comes to video games because my experience, especially as a dad and a father of 6, is like I'm going to focus in on the fun.
6.
And I'm going to find the things that I enjoy about it. I'm going to share those things that you hopefully will enjoy about it too, namely because my personal belief is that the best review is your own personal review. So if I can highlight some of the positive things, especially on a first impressions, and you want to check it out, then there's a real discussion that can be had. What did you like about it? Did you notice these things too? And so part of me not leaning into the negatives is, A, I haven't discovered all of them. I don't have a good understanding of the history of all that yet. And once those things are true, we can have a deeper conversation, but I don't like to go in here and say like, I didn't get this, or this was really frustrating. And that's just the way I approach it. And you're perfectly fine not to like my approach, but
yeah, I mean that's your choice. Like your video is whatever you want your videos to be. If you want to be toxically positive, that's on you, right? But if you never want to share any of the negativity because you don't feel that makes a good video, that's your own prerogative, man. And people like Dr. John are always trying to force the negativity on people. Even somebody like myself doesn't really force or want to force the negativity on people. You want to be over there and, by yourself and having a great time and not say anything bad about Star Citizen ever, even though that there's very obviously bad things with it. You do you. But don't give me shit if I say that something is bad. Because it doesn't invalidate whatever you are doing over there. Okay? Whatever you're doing in your positive land, in happy land, doesn't invalidate what my feelings either. And that's the difference is I'm not sitting here saying that you're supposed to feel some sort of way. My guess is that over time he'll be like, damn, there's not a lot to this game. Maybe he's coming in at a really good time and they'll actually start pumping stuff out with Squadron 42 being feature complete. He might be really, really lucky in this regard. But for the people who've been around since 2012, there's obviously some lacking things here for a lot of us. And it is what it is.
When it comes down to it, especially as a software developer, I like to understand that I'm in an alpha, right? Like,
oh God, here we go. He's a software dev too, so he's I'm worried now. Is he going to be like, I understand all of this?
I'm not going to worry about the things that plague the game. And maybe for right or wrong, I'm wrong, in that case. But that's going to be a personal choice that you make and a personal kind of review of me as a content creator. There's nothing, ifs, ands, or buts about it. We all have different strokes for different folks, different ways of 100%. Approaching these things together. But anyway, we'll continue on because
I know I'm obviously reacting to his videos, but I'm never going to yuck his yum, right? Like his type of content is going to be his type of content. I guess I just kind of did. I always get worried because the people who are software devs, they start typing and they're like, it's an alpha and blah, 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 and all this stuff makes sense. And like completely ignoring the fact that, they may have been like server meshing 2020, answer the call 2016. And right. Like that's like, it's kind of hard to ignore some of the things that are not software development related. Right.
fair pushback. That's absolutely fair pushback. Dr. John is not wrong in that assessment, but it's just, I don't think that I might be the content creator for them if that's the case.
Definitely
stick around
not.
for 1,000 hours. After 1,000, like when you see the content creators after,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure I've seen this guy's in my comment section.
after 5,000 hours, 12,000 hours, recent React video I did, this game sucks. It's like, maybe you've played it too much, but that's just that's my personal critique of content creators. So as someone who's played the recent free trial weekend, I was left with nothing short of disappointed. They were asking me to invest in the idea of the game, and what they had to show for it was a small slice of the game, and it should be by now, and that is that there are more bug-ridden mess. Personally, Squadron 42 does excuse this. If anything, it adds insult to injury. If I tell you that I'm building a farm and you buy that farm and you're just waiting for it to be finished, and then 7 years later you come in and look, and that what you've built and that there is a hotel there instead that you don't care about, there is just to earn money and help pay for the farm that you bought into, most people would be pretty upset. There is so much wrong with this game, and it's not even the glove that bad. Some real time in the video is disingenuous, and it calls into question the integrity of your point of view. So what's interesting here obviously is like, this is what I'm talking about immediately about the history when people have. I haven't invested in this game until this summer, right? So my day zero technically was just a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and of which I've put in a couple of hours into the game. And all of that also, like I said, I'm biased. I get to do that while live. And so I have the community support and the help being able to answer these questions.
It's a good stream game.
And there's a different kind of experience that I'm having than other people have. I don't think it makes my point of view disingenuous. I just think it makes my point of view different. And that's why I always like to highlight.
Everyone's point of view is their point of view. And point of views change over time.
Like that, and tell people that. And so really Dr. John's comment here is that there's the highest praise and review, because he just said I was honest, but he doesn't agree with my take, but he agrees that what I said was true, and so that in and of itself is great. But we can keep having this conversation for sure, but that's just my thoughts on it. You can let me know yours as well. Now, going on, Xi
forget that
butchered
name.
It. Congrats on the weight loss. I'm down 60 pounds since December 2022. Congratulations, dude. That's incredible. Haven't fully cut out sugar, though. I can't break myself from chocolate. Anyway, I got bored with Starfield after my first playthrough, which wasn't compared to other... why did I look at that BGS and think Baldur's Gate? That's not what I was thinking. Bethesda. I've been thinking about trying Star Citizen, but feel I can't afford it. I'll probably just wait for Squadron 42. Nothing wrong with
Star Citizen will likely be cheaper than Squadron 42, right?
That for me, I'm just like, I'm willing to kind of risk some money on something.
How much money, Ginger? How much money have we risked? I am very curious.
Actually, an idea, namely because like that. That's a bit part of life, right? We are all gambling, to a certain degree. I'm just somebody who's not going to sit here and get frustrated. Like I recognize I put my money in the pot. I haven't put my money into the pot for Ashes of Creation yet, but I'm still rooting for that game. I still would love to see that.
I put my money in the Ashes of Creation pot. I did that more initially as a I guess like an attempt to, like, if Star Citizen dies, I have something else that I know I'll enjoy, like in similar vein, like an MMO of something that I enjoyed before. But it was like, maybe if Star Citizen, because I really wasn't sure 2 years ago, I'd say, the direction that the game was going in. They were not speaking at all about it, and they were being very, very close to the chest, very vague, very weird about what the game was going to be. And what it was starting to do was create these pockets of the Star Citizen community that were saying, this is how the game is. And then other ones saying, no, that's how the game is. And then other people saying, no, that's how the game is. And nobody actually knew what the game was. And then finally, CitizenCon this year, they were kind of like laying out a little bit more of what the game was. And all those arguments can just finally die. Some of them at least. But yeah, so for Ashes, like, will it live up to the hype? Does any game ever live up to its hype? Of course not. But do I look at Ashes and go, this is pretty similar to some games that I like? I think I might enjoy it. Yeah.
Happen. I love the ambition of what we're seeing with some of these crowdfunded stuff, but there's risks there too. So I think Squadron 42 will be an interesting point of view. And then back again to Dr. John's comment where he's talking about like, yeah, they've done this thing. They've built this other thing. I mean, hell, even, Ashes of Creation also is doing that. So my experience as a dev in this case is I get the economics behind it. What they're doing with Star Citizen is they're building technology that hasn't really ever existed. They are on the frontier wanting to create something that I think deep down could be, doesn't mean it's a guarantee, but it could be what people want to see with the evolution of the MMORPG, where we see these persistent worlds that are in a way like something that we can't experience in this lifetime. The far reaches of space, exploration, and so much more. So,
I mean, we've heard that plenty of times. These guys are doing things bigger than anybody else. But if you're saying you understand the economics of it, and then you look at the way that they've funded their game, but he hasn't, right? Because he's new and hasn't seen the way they have funded their game. I don't think he truly understands why people are upset about it. Because every person who's typing in his comments angrily most likely feels like Star Citizen took advantage of them. And guess what? They did. And I don't think anybody can come out here and say that that's not the truth. CIG absolutely took advantage of the generosity of their backers, have continuously sold more and more and more pieces of the game, things that initially they said that they would never do, lifetime insurance, certain ships, so on and so forth, right? People feel like they've been taken advantage of. Of course, yeah, the playable now when it's not half the backers can't even log into the game, right? Bunch of examples of this that Ginger never had to live through. So you can't blame him for not understanding those things. And I'm never going to. And he shouldn't. And nobody should sit here and tell him that this is how it used to be, so you should hate this game. Right? My expectations for anybody who's coming in now, unless CIG really steps up their development, they're going to figure it out on their own. They're going to figure out on their own that doing things that nobody ever did before at the scale of the game are going to realize that doing things that nobody did before was probably for a good fucking reason up to this point, because it's boring and the game is empty and there's not a lot to do, right? And they'll figure that out on their own or they won't. But what I'm not going to do is tell somebody who's enjoying the game now, because they came in at the right time and I didn't, that they should hate the game. Why should he hate the game? That's stupid. Okay? Now, I'm going to sit here and go through my memories of things because he is defending the project on things that are indefensible sometimes, right? But he'll figure that out on his own.
Like, I get it, right? It's not me trying to excuse it or give them every pass under the book, but I understand it. We saw, Ashes of Creation build in a battle royale to see and test the battle system. And, obviously people who are backing that got frustrated by it. And I get that. And so I think essentially what I'm gathering...
I mean, and they deservedly so, because they haven't figured out anything around combat or anything like that. They're still building out all the classes. Like... This was, Star Citizen Arena Commander did the same shit. Arena Commander was supposed to figure out the flight model, all of the weapon balance, all of the ship balance, and then they just sold us on that happening again 6 months ago. 10 years into a project.
Right? Is that, obviously the most people who have invested the most
figured out anything,
are invested the most, more than I am at the moment, because I've only just bought the base game and whatnot.
Yo, he bought the $45 pack. Oh, but then he said, and whatnot. What does that mean? I was going to say, this guy is just a starter package enjoyer. I like this guy.
So it's like, yeah, I can understand that. So I'm not faulting them for that frustration. I just can't share that because I haven't been on that same time frame of a journey, right? I've been just told this game is to write this game off and never check it out. And eventually I was like, you know what? With all that, I'm just going to go play it for myself and make my own decision. Anyway.
Just don't put all your eggs in the basket. That would be my only recommendation as a content creator is all of these guys come. I believe he's got a pretty big following. 75,000 subscribers, right? This came out on November 9th. So 20, but it's not doing incredible on views or anything. And my thing would be just don't put all your eggs in this basket, because a lot of guys with bigger audiences from other games come over here and then they obsess with it, and then gradually the game does become more and more difficult to make content for, right? Because there's only so many things you could do, and there's only so many things you can explore without having done them over and over and over again, right? And then without proper progression systems, which is why I think he's coming in at such a good time. If they actually deliver in the next year or so on the stuff from CitizenCon, he's going to have a really, really good time. He was a New World and Final Fantasy creator. Cool. I'm surprised I never caught any of his New World stuff. Maybe I did, because I watch a lot of New World content. And New World feels amazing now. So I wonder why he's, going back and forth. But yeah, just consistently making content is very difficult. Live streaming the game, not as bad. But YouTube, much more difficult.
Let's move on.
I think.
Ardent Fender says, I've been...
Holy shit, these comments.
An OG backer of Star Citizen since 2012, and from the very first kick.
Anime avatar, OG backer. I've spent $1 billion, therefore my opinion matters. It's one of these.
Starter. I personally own at least a dozen different ships because since 2012, I actively contribute to the game development in wanting to see such a
Eve avatar, anime avatar. Okay.
Game come to life in my lifetime, as I felt as if someone like Sig don't do it over ambitiousness, no one else in the industry has the guts to do it, and so in my lifetime. I agree with that. Actually, risk in and of itself within the gaming industry is a problem, and it's something we've covered here and multiple times on the channel. And if you guys ever want to discuss it live, man, I tell you, like, this
is what copium addiction is in text form.
It's weird because like this kind of falls into talk is cheap. Gamers talk a big game. Oh, I'm going to show up. It's great that they are for Star Citizen financially, right? But we see that happen so much. We also see in the content creation space. We see it where like the internet makes it easy to say things, but action in and of itself, like words are more rewarded than action in any case. And I think that's in and of itself quite entertaining.
I like this guy.
If not sad to a degree. Anyway, all that being said, I took a hands-off approach in just not paying that close attention to the game month-to-month development, as well as playing the alpha, in which I can play, but decided not to in the recent following things. But a few days ago, I saw your video where Brian was playing Star Citizen, piloted the ship out of the hangar, flew into space and all that, and I was like, well, damn. I also did see all the recent SigCon 2023.
Oh, wow. So this is, I took this comment a little bit wrong from the beginning, because Star Citizen backers always feel like telling you how much they spent, which is pretty cringe. But the idea of like he spent his money in 2012 when we were all starry-eyed, and then he was just like, fuck it, just let them do their thing, and I'm not following this day to day because it would hurt my brain. He's actually had a pretty good approach to
presentations as well. But after your video, and most important thing I learned was how to press I. I logged onto the and fired up Star Citizen game, and I didn't complete the game tutorial, but I did make it 40k meters into space. Like you often say, small wins. My win was firing up the game, clearing the hangar, and making it into space, seeing the beautiful planet below. And from the top...
He paid for that win, though, guys. That is a pay-to-win experience right there. I'm just kidding.
Top of the stratosphere, small wins, but I had so much fun trying to figure it out all along the way. And again, small wins, right? That in and of itself, I actually am like, the more I've learned about Star Citizen over the last couple of weeks, just kind of getting caught up, just trying to understand. And when
Dude, literally only has an Anvil C8 Pisces. This. Okay, how long until he fills out this screen? How long until he's got 6 kids, right? Oh, it's the tutorial. That's right.
Weeks, like ever since I started playing it, and since pretty much CitizenCon, like that's when I was like,
no,
all right, like what's going on with this game? Like this isn't in and of itself. All of a sudden, it's like Squadron 42, despite people, like Dr. John's, critique of that being built as a hotel on this farmland that you bought. Like that's an invitation opportunity.
Well, I don't need to play the tutorial, so I didn't know. I forgot. Okay, I played it once and never played it again.
I needed to see what's been going on, and all of a sudden I found so many cool things, right, going on, and so exciting. And yes, this is something where the ambitiousness of this project, it's risky. It's risky. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I don't know. Like at the end of the day, I'd rather be hopeful for Star Citizen rather than some NFT Bitcoin crypto scam out there.
I mean, it's the same thing, but yeah, we can all be hopeful. There's nothing wrong with that.
But that's just my take. Luna Moon says he just chatters and doesn't show anything. Welcome to the channel, Luna. I might not be your content creator. That's what we do here. It's like I discuss video games, cover the news, and so much more. It's a good opportunity. Hello, everyone. For those of you who are still hanging out, hit that like button and sound off in the comments below.
Is anybody else just chatter and not really show anything? You guys familiar with anybody else who does that? I mean, I don't know.
With secret call out, we'll say Boogaloo. So there we go. Secret call out's Boogaloo. Sound off in the comments with that if you made it this far. But yeah, like one of the things that I highlight this because this is something that I don't mind negativity. I don't mind critique. I'm just going to let you know that the idea that somebody complains about free content is amusing to me, right? Like I don't personally go into other people's videos and be like, like how dare you make this video? I didn't, like it might not be your style. I might not be your content creator. I might not be the style of content creator for you. And that's perfectly fine. I'm happy making the video.
I mean, I really think you should, he's already explained it twice that like, I might not be the content creator for you. Reading this is what making YouTube videos does to your brain. Is like you start to, I don't know, I deal with the same thing, dude. You start to focus on the negative comments that just don't matter. Like who cares? Right? Move on, mute that person and never hear from them again. Right? Oh, is today's Veterans Day? Ever since I became like a streamer, I have no idea what day of the week it is half the time. So
and the ways that I make the videos that I make, and it's a fun hobby for me to do. I don't have grandeur like ideas that I'm going to be a full timer and just make content. Maybe when I retire, I think that might be the dream. But yeah, like guys, I might make fun of you if you complain.
BB is the only reason I know when it's Friday
about
to be
free
honest.
Content. Because like, come on, man. Like it's the easy option is that unsubscribe button or that clicking off the video and just going somewhere else. Like find something fun in your day to enjoy. Like there's no point in letting me ruin it. It just seems
They didn't ruin it, dude. You didn't ruin their day. They're just annoying. They're an annoying person on the internet. And what do you do with annoying little flies or mosquitoes? You flick them away and they're gone. It's just simple.
Seems like it takes them, maybe take a little bit of personal responsibility and click off the video. Like, and that's my advice. Like that's what I tell people. You're free to go. You don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. We can hang out, talk about games if that's what you want to do. Because that's what I'm going to keep doing. Because I've been doing it and I love it. And we'll go from there. Let's go on to Casket Crew says, I watched your New World videos. I had no idea that you played Star Citizen. I started playing 3 years ago. Bugs aside, there's nothing like it. It's a learning curve is steep, but learning it has been satisfying in a way that most MMOs cannot provide. And
okay, I'm sorry. The learning experience, or there is no, like, I'm having a hard time with that comment. That one that no MMOs can provide, oof, that one bothers me. Because literally every other MMO I enjoy like 1,000 times more. And I am dying to get back into New World today and play again.
absolutely agree with this. Now, Kaz Walden says, as a backer since 2017, I can honestly say the game has come a long way. Yes, it's buggy. Yes, it can be frustrating, but it's a playtest, not an actual game. Every time we log in, we test the current version and wait for the next update to see the improvements. One day, you may never...
All right, how many issue council reports have you made?
...see any of the bugs, and another day, you're lucky if you can take off. It's really heartwarming to see a new player's experience from others' perspective, because some of us have been here for so long that we've forgotten the awesomeness feeling of taking off for the first time and flying to space for the first time and dying for the first time.
Okay, so these are the people. So this is there's a base of Star Citizen viewers that are very similar to Souls games. So you guys familiar with like I'm playing these Souls games for the first time ever, and people will watch those videos religiously, watching people suffer in Souls games. Star Citizen is very similar, but without the suffering part so much. Obviously, there's some suffering in the game, but I do find that anybody coming from another game, finding Star Citizen for the first time and enjoying it, these people come out of the woodworks for these channels and watch them religiously for a while. I can remember there was a streamer in the space on Twitch that it was the same concept. Then it was like Morph. Then it was Level Cap. Then it was Ollie, and then so on and so on and so on, right? The people who come out and are like, yo, I love this game. This is the greatest game ever. Everyone's like, yo, I love this guy. And then as those people play the game, they're like, yo, this game's got some real problems. I'm going to start sharing my opinions on it. And then they turn on them. And then they find the next one that is happy.
When all this new tech is introduced to the persistent universe, that is Squadron 42. The experience is going to be epic. And that's what I'm kind of banking on, right? Like that's what I'm bought into now, right? Like I bought the game. I'm definitely going to be checking out Squadron 42.
He's bought in, boys.
And I'm going to keep playing, and just kind of learning what all this is. And I love it. Like there's a level of respect. There's a level of joy that I feel is missing in a lot of kind of the less
he doesn't know how to fly. Wow, this is like really his first time.
Social aspects of the game world. This again takes me back to my Final Fantasy 11 roots, and I really like that. But that's not to say that it's an experience that everybody's going to flock to. Who knows though, right? Like I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to see the sandbox come back, and in a way that and what I've argued for the longest time is like, in order for that to truly happen, it has to do something that nobody else can or is doing. It has to offer that.
But he's so right. He's so right. But what, in my opinion at least, what it's offering isn't it. Like the scale is good, but does the scale mean anything if you don't do anything with it? Right? So yes, Star Citizen is doing something that nobody's ever done before. It's insane. It's wild. It's cool. But if there's nothing to do, what was the point of making the scale in the first place? So that's what's so exciting about CitizenCon is it sounds like they're trying to fill out those things, but we'll have to see, But
it also has to make it so that you want to spend time in, and it isn't easier just to go do something else. Because for any parents out there listening, like me, like I wanted to sit down and play Horizon, 5 one day, and it had like a 30 gig patch or something. Well, that's my game time. Like, I guess I'm just going to have this update the game. I might as well go do something else. So,
bro, this game is 90 fucking gigs. What is he talking about? What?
The path of the least resistance for a lot of gamers ends up being the case, and we know that the learning curve is steep, and thus it's going to keep going, and it's going to take a special kind of invitation. It's going to take that kind of one of those moments where you're like you won't believe it. Like they actually did it. They actually pulled it off. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, our final comment, Shane X says to this comment about the game being meant to be played in a group. To anyone who is interested, the game can be played solo, but don't go into it thinking that you can conquer the world solo. As someone who does play the game a lot by myself, I am very knowledgeable, and there are certain things I know I can't do by myself unless certain conditions are met.
Based commenter, because how many people go out there with a solo ship and they get really mad when people get mad when they get dunked on, right? So far, I really like this comment.
And I do the prep for it. And even then, there are some stuff that you just simply can't be done. The good thing about the game is that it basically scales up to as much as you want it to. I think the game as an online game with the possibility of interactions, but the capacity of carving out your own direction, you are not alone in the game, but space is as big as there are much bigger things than you. And you can do your own thing, or you can find people to play with. You don't have to be one of those people who want the game to be a single player game because it isn't. Someone may try to fight you, while someone might try to come and help you. I want to save random people who have died on their missions, and I've also killed random people less so than that. In the end, though, it's fun running around the ship and doing stuff further my own means, but it is a hell of a lot better being able to do that with other people sometimes.
Yeah.
I think
the reason why the game appeals to people like multi-crew and stuff like that is, again, going back to like the game is really scaled up. It's super big and it's super empty. So it feels a little less empty when you're with your friends, right?
It does have a learning curve. It's even harder when there isn't someone to show you things, but I actually think that's the best experience because you aren't rushed. Find your own path before you let the people influence you how you play or require them to play. And what's interesting about this comment for me personally is,
I think his comment's pretty good.
There's what I call asynchronous multiplayer. We're playing this game together, even if we're not like in a group together or actively doing this thing together. Your actions could impact my experience. I like that. And that's one of the things I feel like we've seen the modern MMO get away from. It's more about that personalized experience, that instance experience, that instant gratification experience rather than kind of, the investment of having something that you work towards and pay off. And so with like Star Citizen, same thing with PAX Day, same thing with Ashes of Creation, same thing with these games. Like I want to champion them. I want to be excited for them because
But like everything about PAX Day and Ashes has like Star Citizen is so different from that in the sense that PAX Day and Ashes seem to focus on being games, where Star Citizen up until this CitizenCon has focused on being an experience because they knew they weren't a game.
Have been craving them. And, it's fun to step back into the world of Final Fantasy XI, but you really do travel back in time. And what I think people are really craving is that feeling brought into a modern game, which in some cases is pretty lacking, at least in my opinion. Not that this applies to every game, and not that you have to agree with me on my perspective, but just as a part of the overall experience in the end. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for joining me for today's long video. Like I said, treat these as kind of like mini podcasts. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, check out other videos on the channel. You can always check out the playlist for the comment section if you're curious, as we do deep dives into your comments from time to time. And it's a big part of why I love being a YouTuber, is reading y'all's comments and talking with y'all about it. So
I can't say I agree, and I think he's experiencing what I experienced too, man. The negative comments come to the top. He touched on two of them. But yeah, I really like this guy. And again, I think that what I said earlier really needs to sink into some of you guys, your heads, is just because somebody's coming in now and didn't experience all the horrible things you may have experienced within Star Citizen doesn't mean you need to try to bring them down and their enjoyment down to your level. They're never going to experience Answer the Call 2016. They're never going to experience waiting a year for a patch and then, constantly doing updates on when the patch is coming every week, but nothing to show for it. He may never experience, he will, but some really, really kind of FOMO and malicious ship sale, right? But he may experience those things again if they do them again, but the idea here is he hasn't yet, and there's no reason to bring him down for that. Like, just let the dude have fun and he'll see eventually. That's pretty much how I've handled these types of creators that come into the Star Citizen spaces. They'll either figure it out or they'll, remain high on the copium, and they'll all find their place and be happy in their own way, and that'll be that, So, not bad, but I really, really did enjoy the video. I think he's got a really good head on his shoulders as far as the game goes. And, he's obviously in software development, so he understands it from that perspective. But he seems to just be enjoying it. He also seems to be very interested in other games, too. And that would be my only advice for him is just don't put all your eggs in this basket yet, because it doesn't deserve them just yet, right? But eventually, we all hope to put all of our eggs in this basket because I think all of us are really rooting for CIG and want the game to be great. So, yeah.